I was born in Vlora in 1915. All my life I had been a sheep herder, living with our livestock in the hills. In Vlora we had many Jewish families who were longtime members of our community. If the Germans killed one Albanian, we felt the right to kill 100 Germans. The Germans were looking for Jews whom they said they would burn alive with gasoline as Christ killers. Yaakov Solomon acted as the rabbi of the Jewish community. I took Yaakov and his family with horses at night into the hills and hid them in a barn. We sheltered parts of the Solomon family for 6 months. I remember Yaakov taking me to a tree where he had hidden 10 gold coins. He offered them to me, but I refused. Jews and Muslims are cousins. We both bury our dead in coffins. I drained my glass of raki to honor all my Jewish friends. Bessa came from the Quran. To live a life is to save a life and to go to paradise. The entire neighborhood, even the local prefect, knew we were sheltering Jews. When the Germans gave an order upon penalty of death for every household to hang a list of all family members on each front door, we listed David and Frida with false names as our uncle and aunt. We lived day to day as one family. In 1945, David and Frida left and we lost all contact. In 1946, the communists arrested our father and he spent 30 years as a political prisoner. We all survived with great difficulty. Our father died in 1985. We finally got our house back in 1991. My father gave us an order. If there is a knock on the door, take responsibility. Our father was a milkman. During the German occupation, the proprietor of a store told him about some Jews who needed help. We hid them all for 18 months. Then our father arranged false passports. We think they eventually made it to America. The Zubin family left behind a radio, a cabinet, and this sewing machine. We sheltered a ship's captain who left us a gift of these seashells. Since the war, we have lost all contact with the people we sheltered. We are religious Muslims. Our family has never sought recognition for saving Jews. To do good is to get good from God. We're from Skodra. My husband owned a printing company, a food oil company, and a soap manufacturing company. We owned 2 large homes with servants. Everyone in Skodra knew of my husband and his generosity. My husband hid many Jews in and around Skodra, and he organized other hiding places. He secretly drove Jewish families to our country home high in the mountains. He also arranged for Jewish families to travel across the sea by ferry to safety. There were so many he helped, I do not remember their names. After the war, we lost everything to the communists, even our food stamps. My husband was arrested and spent 3 years at hard labor. He died in 1957. Our former house still stands empty and abandoned in Skodra. Julia Pogu. In 1942, my parents sheltered a Jewish family in our home in duress. They were the Gurchers, father, mother, and daughter, from Hamburg, Germany. They had sought asylum in Albania after Kristallnacht. My mother was a German. Once in duress, the Gestapo cordoned off the streets and searched with dogs for Jews. My mother came out of her house and scolded them, the Gestapo, in German. She told them never to come back, to remember that she was a German too. The Gestapo left. My father was arrested in 1944. In 1945, the communists killed him. Since the fall of the communists, we have made contact with the daughter, now Joanna Newman, who lives in America. Joanna gave written testimony of her family's rescue, and my parents were recognized by Yad Vashem as righteous amongst nations. Edip Bilko. We met with Shaban Kuchi in Tirana. He was quite a guy. Those medals he's wearing are the medals that were awarded him as a partisan and a communist in World War II. Incidentally, he is also a Muslim, and he sees no problem being a communist and a Muslim. He was very animated. He told us about the families that they sheltered in his father's village, but he brought them into Tirana, and he gave us negatives of pictures where they were walking in the streets of Tirana. He didn't give a damn. He didn't give a damn about anything. He was He was just so proud and happy of who he was, what he was doing, and nothing could stop him, and nothing could hurt him. We also have a picture of Shabin with Professor Katani, who also was a partisan and a Marxist, and they, with their raised hands, singing the Internationale. Shabin also gave us a letter, and it's a rather poignant letter, trying to make contact with those that they rescued in World War II. He didn't even know their real names, and he's reaching out to the Albanian Israeli Friendship Association to see if contact can be made again with those people that he very valiantly and courageously and with great humor saved during World War II. Our entire family was involved in fighting the fascists. My parents were part of the National Front, the partisan group under King Zog. My uncle headed the resistance. First, the Jewish family, friends of my uncle, were sheltered in our home in Tirana. Then our house became a safe house and a major staging area for Jews seeking help. We moved many Jewish families to the village of Zalher. There were 20 families protected in Zalher. Among the Jews and partisans in Zalher was a German officer who had deserted and a Russian soldier. This work by my parents was extremely dangerous, and they had to be very careful. My parents were brave and were never frightened. No one in our neighborhood knew of their activities. In 1945, we lost all contact with those whom we worked with and saved. Our family was persecuted. We lost our property and many jobs because we were royalists. And this is a picture of my mother holding one of her grandchildren, Haisif Binshu. These portraits of what I did and the profiles that I have read are somewhat bittersweet. There are so many other stories that we don't know about, of so many heroic people in Albania that rescued Jews, that these stories are missing, they're gone because of the 60 years and because of the terrible 50-some-odd years of communism. I don't know if there is an end to this story. I only know that there are wonderful people in the world, and I choose to look at those and honor those wonderful people as opposed to chronicling war. This is visceral in me. This is important to me, and I hope it is important to the rest of the world to know that there are so many good people in the world, whether they're Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever. There are good people, and I believe in the goodness of people.
For the Albanian people and for the world. Thank you.